afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Cobb County Drug Treatment Court 20th Anniversary Celebration. When it comes to improving our community, Cobb County has always been a leader. And the Honorable Judge George Krager is certainly one of those leaders. In 2002, long before criminal justice reform was a thing, and long before the creation of the Council of Accountability Court Judges, Judge Krager and others, he assures me, had the vision and foresight to recognize the need for an alternative to the traditional criminal justice system for those diagnosed with substance use disorders. And from that vision, he and others worked together to create the Cobb County Drug Treatment Court. In 2004, Judge Krager presided over the Drug Treatment Court's very first graduation. And since that time, the program has seen over 700 successful graduates. That's 700 members of our community who were facing prison time and instead changed their lives. If you are here, it's because you understand the need and importance of accountability courts. And we thank you for supporting the Drug Treatment Court and celebrating with us. Let's be clear. This program changes lives. From broken to confident, from incarcerated to employed, from angry to hopeful, from isolated to surrounded and trusted by family. It's not an easy program because our participants are not on an easy journey. Our program targets those at high risk for reoffending by committing new felonies and that have a high need for intensive outpatient treatment to beat substance use. And they cannot do it without help and support. Which reminds me of a story. Once upon a time, there was a wise old man walking on the beach. Suddenly, he saw a boy who was reaching down to the sand, picking up something and throwing it into the sea. He approached the boy and asked, "Good morning. May I ask what you are doing?" The young boy paused and replied, "Throwing starfish into the sea." The old man was a little puzzled, and the young man said, "The tide is going out, and if I don't throw them in, they will die." The wise man listened and replied, "But my boy, don't you know that this beach is long, and there are miles and miles of starfish along the way? You can't make a difference." After hearing this, the boy bent down, picked up another starfish, and threw it into the sea, smiling as he said, "It made a difference to this one." Every day, members of the drug court team are on the beach throwing our starfish back into the sea. It seems like there are miles and miles of problems to be solved, but they keep at it every single day in, day out, because they know if they can make a difference to one, it's all worth it. It's my privilege to introduce our starfish throwers, the members of the Cobb County Drug Treatment Court team. If you would please stand so that we can recognize you and just hold your applause till the end. We have Ms. Portia Middlebrook, our program coordinator. Woo! Okay, you gotta hold your applause till the end. I'm a judge, you have to do what I say, right? Ms. Brooke Comley, one of our case managers. Kelly Lundgren, she's a case manager who's not able to be with us here today. Maurice Brown, Deputy Chief Assistant District Attorney with the DA's office. Ms. Bailey Rogers, who we only have for just a little bit more time with the District Attorney's office. Jeanette Vanderlinden, where are you? There she is. She is the criminal defense lawyer that works with our program. Deputy Jonathan Granger, he is the sheriff's deputy that helps us out. Officer Christopher Nix, I see you sitting over there. He is the Community Supervision Officer with the Department of Community Supervision. Sherrod Jones with Work Source Cobb. Jennifer Tillery, our Accountability Courts Director. And there's our treatment team. Is Miss Cheryl Vaughn here? Thought I saw her. There she is. There's Miss Cheryl. Jackie Martin. Miss Cheryl's our team lead. Jackie Martin is one of our clinicians. Robert Stevenson. Is Robert here? He didn't make it today. Latina Williams. Hi, Miss Latina. It's good to have you here. And Ashley Perry. That is the team of starfish throwers. But there's some folks I want to thank because they help support us in everything that we do. Christopher Hansert's our Superior Court Administrator. He's back there in the back of the room. And if you would stand up, if you're a member of the Drug Treatment Court Advisory Board. I think I saw some of the folks here today. Thank you, guys. Cobb County Circuit Defender's Office, and we have our Circuit Defender, Scott Halpern, who is here today. Cobb County District Attorney's Office. I thought I saw Mr. Brody. Did I see Mr. Brody? There he is over there. Thank you. This wouldn't work without the DA's office collaborating with us on this, and I just appreciate your commitment to our program. Thank you. The Cobb County Board of Commissioners. I think they weren't able to join us today, and I want to talk about that a little bit later. The Cobb County Sheriff's Office, I know we've got Chief Hawkins here, and I think we have Chief of Staff Jones. Is that right? Yep, thank you. Thank you for being here. The Cobb County Bar Association, I believe I saw the president, Carlos Rodriguez. You may not know this, but every year at the holiday party, the Cobb County Bar Association, Cindy Yeager, I think, helps a lot with this, with her persuasiveness at the door. But we collect gift cards that are given out as incentives in our accountability court programs. Marietta Metro Rotary Club, is anybody here with them? Restoring Lives Alliance, you guys know who you are. Twin Lakes Recovery Center. Four Winds Recovery. Yes, thank you. Valor House, Stacy House, Davis Direction Foundation. Thank you, guys. 10 Women of Hope, and Faith Lutheran Church and School. We want to thank you for your continued support. Is Hope back there? All right. None of us would be here today without his vision and commitment to helping others. The Honorable Senior Judge George H. Krager is a native of Smyrna, Georgia. He graduated from Campbell High School and is a double dog, having received both his undergraduate degree and JD from the University of Georgia. Before becoming a judge, he practiced law here in Marietta and served his community as a member of the Georgia House of Representatives. In 1979, he became a state court judge and then joined the Superior Court bench in 1984, where he remained active until he took senior status in 2012. He served as Chief Judge of the Superior Court, Administrative Judge of the 7th District, and Chair of the Administrative Office of Courts Standing Committee on Drug Courts, when it was just a standing committee, folks, which is now the governing body for our accountability courts. He and his lovely wife, Helen, share 3 daughters and 8 grandchildren. Thank you, Judge Krager, and I hope you are very proud of the lives that you have changed. If you'd please welcome to the podium the Honorable Senior Judge George H. Krager. Thank you.
Well, it's a great pleasure to be here today and see what's happened in the last 20 plus years. I just thought I'd go over a few things that happened back in early 2000s when Chief Judge Stoddard said we need to study a drug court. So fine, we'll study a drug court. And so we approached the county commission, the chairman. His response was, I don't know why y'all have waited so long to do this. And the next time there was a budget, unrequested was funds in our budget to create the drug court. But this didn't fall out of the sky. We studied for at least a year. We went to Macon, where Tommy Day Wilcox had probably the first drug court in the state. Then down to Brunswick, where Amanda Williams had started a drug court. Then to Gainesville, where John Girardeau was administering a drug court. And then to Dalton, where Jack Partain, and all these people were long-time drug court judges for a long time. But to get started, we had to accumulate a staff, which court administrator did a pretty good job in finding people to get it started, plus a treatment. And back then, we had a contract with Wellstar, and had 4 or 5 counselors, and after 4 or 5 years, they decided, hey, this is losing a bunch of money for us, and they went their own way, and we had to come up with our own treatment plan. In the beginning, back then, the Federal Office of the Judiciary, Bureau of Justice, had a bunch of money, and they would train drug court teams. So before we began, the coordinator and I went to Jacksonville for a 3-day training conference and had a nice room on the river, but they took roll and you had to be in those classes every day. And by then we had assembled the team, and so the team went to Pensacola Beach, and another place where you could look at the ocean for a little bit and then get in class. And our final training was in New Orleans, and this is very intense training and helped us a great deal. Each one of the visits, we ended up attending a drug court session at the local drug court. This guy named Grady Moore, we stole him from the Tallapoosa circuit, and he got assigned to my courtroom, and unbeknownst to him, when he came over, he was going to carry a full caseload plus the drug court, and he never complained and did an excellent job for all those years. And somehow it stuck with him, and he's still associated with drug courts, maybe on the other side of the table now with being a defendant's lawyer. We took in our first participant September of '02, and that participant, we didn't really understand how to really crack them down on him, but he didn't make it because he was a young high school age kid that was just messed up, and we couldn't get his attention for anything. And finally, in October of 2004, we had our first graduation, and the first graduate was a guy named Andrew Terrio. And Andrew always thought he wanted to be a lawyer because every time we'd have the participants in court, he'd run to the podium and hang on to it like he wanted to be talking. And but he made it through, but struggled down after he left. And evidently, the drug court training kicked in somewhere, and last we heard from him, he was in the rehabilitation business down in the state of Florida. At the first graduation, the Chief Justice, Robert Benham, came and talked with us. And so he was a big proponent of drug courts. And now they're accountability courts. That's kind of how I got to be associated with the state committee, is that they wanted him to do it, and he said no. So I just was in the way. And the way I ended up administering the drug court is we were sitting around the table in the judges' meeting when we were finally going to decide to do it. And the chief judge was sitting right there, and I was sitting right here, and he went, and that took care of that. But drug court has been one of the most rewarding things that we ever get to do, because you see that you've had an impact on folks, and it's one of the most supported things in the community, and everybody appreciates when you can change people's lives. So it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge Krager, for those remarks as well as everything that you have done for our court. Since July 2019, he served as the Chief Assistant District Attorney for the Cobb Judicial Circuit. His duties in that role are broad and his responsibilities vast, but he's here today because of what he did before July 2019. John Persley served as the Assistant District Attorney for all of the accountability courts from 2016 to 2019. In that role, he earned the trust of everyone associated with our superior courts: judges, defense attorneys, and defendants. His ability to read between the lines, to recognize the difference between violent criminals who pose a risk to our community and those whose lives have been taken over with substance use is uncanny. We are so grateful for his commitment to drug treatment court, and I'm happy to welcome to the podium Chief Assistant District Attorney John Persley.
So Grady and I were back there just talking about how we're preaching to the choir. I didn't know who was going to be here. So all of you know a lot about drug treatment courts and accountability courts. And I've been sandwiched between two people who are the greats, really, in our accountability courts, certainly here in Cobb County, Judge Krieger, and you're going to hear from Grady Moore in just a few minutes. I'm not real sure why I was put on this program, but I am pleased to be here. I've been in the criminal justice system, in and around the criminal justice system for close to 30 years now, and when I don't have a beard, people say, 30 years? And now that I have a gray beard, they're like, oh, only 30 years? When I first started as a prosecutor, we were trying to arrest our way out of the drug problem. We found that by itself was not going to work. And so now, in the district attorney's office, we're a part of a number of initiatives aimed at helping those with substance use disorders, including but not limited to an opioid grant that we have in our office that tries to help users and their families find appropriate resources. We have ARC, our Alternative Resolution Court, which tries to get people into treatment as quickly as possible. They have a court date within 30 days. That's been successful so far. Cindy Yeager was one of the ones that started that. We have a new grant which is going to test our diversion type programs using an evidence-based model to see how successful they are working. We have MCS, we have the RRLC, which is through the Davis Direction at the Zone, which is a group of people in Cobb County who deal with this substance use disorder problem every single day. Police chiefs and providers and all of those kind of things, and we thank the Zone for that. But in my opinion, the most important thing that we do to fight substance use is our accountability courts, and in this case, specifically our drug court. Drug treatment court, in my opinion, is now the front line of the war on drugs. Drug court, you all know, because I am preaching to the choir, works, and it works better than pretty much anything out there. I was the accountability court prosecutor from 2016 to 2019, and when I first began, I didn't really know much about it. I had been to a few sessions. I hadn't received any training, and then District Attorney, now Superior Court Judge Vic Reynolds, asked me if I would go in and become the prosecutor in all of the accountability courts. Back then it was drug treatment court, veterans court, mental health court, and then we added an intermediate drug treatment court. And I agreed to do that. It was something that I had been interested in for a while, and I have to say that it was probably the most fulfilling time in my career. I love what I do now, boss. Where'd you go? There you go. But that was a really fulfilling time in my life and in my career. So there were a lot of things I didn't know, and here are a few things that I came to know. Just a few. It's for high risk, high needs people. The people that these folks that stood up just a few moments ago work with, they have a lot going on in their lives. They are at a high risk of reoffending, and they need a lot of help. And those people that stood up, and the people that are in this room that used to work with me way, back in 2016, there's a lot of those folks here too. They do a lot to help those people on a daily basis. I mean, am I right? Some of you, on a daily basis, you talk to some of those folks. It's a lot of work for the participants. As prosecutors, I think some prosecutors used to think that it was, oh, well, that's just nothing. That's a slap on the wrist. Well, I've never been to prison. I've never been to jail. I'm sure you're glad to know that. But I don't think that's as much work as the participants that we have in these programs do. They work every single day. And at the beginning, they're doing something every single day. They're going to treatment, or they're going to court, or they're coming up here for a drug test, or they're going to individual sessions. It's a lot of work. It tries to teach participants how to get out of a criminal lifestyle. One of the last cases that I tried when I was on the trial line was a murder case, and we had flipped, if you will, one of the co-defendants, and she was in prison at the time. When we were getting ready to try the case, and she talked to us about, and in fact, I think it might have been Maddox Kilgore's client. She talked to us about what it's like to be an addict and what it's like to wake up every morning dope sick, what it's like every morning to wake up and think about, what am I going to have to do today to get drugs? Am I going to have to lie, cheat, steal, whatever, to get drugs? So this program helps to get them out of that lifestyle, helps them to get out of that lying and that criminal thinking. And then these people are much less likely to recidivate, whether they graduate or whether they do a substantial amount of time. The statistics show they're much, much less likely to recidivate. But what I really actually wanted to talk about was graduations. We had a graduation this morning in a mental health court. And by the way, there was one speaker, one graduate who spoke, who puts everybody here that can speak in public to shame. He was phenomenal. He did Sherrod's back there. He did a phenomenal job, and I wish that I could have gotten his speech, and I would have just read his speech, and it would have been much better. But if you're ever in a bad mood, if you're ever down, and you're around the courthouse on a graduation day, go to a graduation. I've had times when I woke up in the morning and I've been talking to my wife, and I've been kind of, I got to go to work, but I have a graduation to go to, because they're one of the most uplifting things, if not the most uplifting thing that happens in this courthouse. I guess there's adoptions and weddings and those graduations. A couple of the people that we graduated that stick with me. There's one guy who he got in. He was in his 40s, and we didn't know it when we put him into the drug treatment court. But he didn't know how to read. So during the course of his time in drug treatment court, the staff taught him and got him help to learn how to read and write. A 40-year-old man in the United States of America who didn't know how to read and write. And that's what the drug treatment court did. Another person who invited his arrest, and this is interesting because it happened again this morning, a man who, when he was graduating, invited the arresting officer to the graduation because he wanted his arresting officer, who had seen him at his worst, to also see him at his best. And that happened this morning to an extent. There was one of the graduates who invited a couple of the deputies who had helped him out in the jail, who he said treated him like a human being. And you know, that's part of it too, is treating them like they matter, like they're real people, because they are. And then finally, the thing that I love the most about drug treatment court is that it's a multi-generational thing. When you help that person, you're helping their parents. When you help that person, you're helping their children. Almost every single graduation, somebody will say, we always have people, family can say whatever they want. There's clapping, there's laughing, there's crying. I mean, it's not like normal court, obviously. But almost every single time, there's a man or a woman who'll stand up and say, "Thank you so much for giving me my son back. Thank you for giving me my daughter back." And oftentimes, a kid will stand up and say, "Thank you for giving my mom back. You've given me my dad back." And that's what those of you who are doing this now and who have done this in the past are continuing to do. You're giving those people back to the people that they love. This month is National Substance Use Prevention Month. I know it seems like every month has 10 things that it is, but there are only 12 months. So amongst other things, October is National Substance Use Prevention Month. And I would just say that now's the time to redouble our efforts in this drug treatment court. You do fantastic work. In 2022, there were 172 fatal substance use overdoses in Cobb County. There were depending on which statistics you want, these are kind of broad, but between 1,000 and 1,700 non-fatal overdoses in Cobb County. In 2023 so far, we've seen over 69 fatal overdoses and over 728 non-fatal. And fatal overdoses and any kind of overdoses are also multi-generational. If a person dies of an overdose, it affects their kids, it affects their parents forever. And so I just want to thank each and every one of you for all of the work that you do, and I'm just thrilled that you let me be a part of this, Judge Childs. Thank you so much.
Before I introduce our next speaker, I was negligent and failed to acknowledge my colleagues that are here today. So I would like to ask the Superior Court judges who've taken time out of their very busy day, the juvenile court judges and the probate court judges that have taken time out, any of the other judges that we have here, if you could please stand up and be recognized, because the judges support our program. Thank you. Well, Judge Krager and Mr. Persley kind of foreshadowed this, but our next presenter has the unique experience of being both a prosecutor and a defense attorney for our accountability courts. You cannot talk about or think about accountability courts in Cobb County without thinking about Grady Moore. A native of Griffin, Georgia, Mr. Moore began his legal career in 1996 with the DA's office in Nashville, Tennessee. From Tennessee, he took a quick detour over to the Tallapoosa Circuit DA's office before moving to the Cobb County District Attorney's office. After spending years in the courtroom prosecuting felonies, in 2013, he began as the full-time prosecutor for the accountability courts. When he left the DA's office, his commitment to helping people change their lives did not waver. He just switched sides and served as the criminal defense attorney for our courts. The criminal defense attorney's role in drug treatment court is an unusual one. As part of the staffing team, he advocated for participants who ran afoul of the program rules. And importantly, because it is a court program, Mr. Moore made sure that the team considered due process and constitutional rights as they worked toward treatment-forward solutions. When a defendant had other legal issues outside of our court, Mr. Moore counseled them and helped them navigate those challenges. His incomparable experience and insight benefited everyone, but most importantly, our participants. A different population now benefits from having Mr. Moore on their team, as he's now the managing attorney for the alternate public defender's office for the West Georgia region. But we are delighted he's come back today and help us celebrate. Please help me welcome to the podium Mr. Grady Moore.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, everybody. I think as Mr. Persley said, we are, there's a lot of accountability court and Cobb County family here. There's not a whole lot of folks from the outside that, don't know what this movement is about or don't know why we're doing what we're doing. I will give you a little bit of a brief oral history of accountability courts in Cobb County. Now, for me personally, becoming a part of this and having accountability courts ultimately become such an integral part of my career was not something that was on my radar when I joined the district attorney's office here in Cobb in 2003. I'd been practicing law for several years at that point as a prosecutor, but had not even heard of drug courts or accountability courts. We didn't know what those were back then. The first drug court in the country had actually started in 1989 in Miami-Dade County, Florida, with a group of judges. As I understand it, there's no one judge who's credited with having created drug court, but it was a group of Miami judges who felt like they had seen enough of the revolving door of drug offenders, the same people coming before them with the same unresolved issues again and again. So by the time the early 2000s rolled around and the situation that Judge Kreger described was unfolding, drug courts nationwide were just about a decade old. And the happenstance that happened to me was that one of the openings that was available in the Cobb County DA's office when I got hired happened to be in Judge Kreger's court. So that's how I became involved with accountability courts to begin with. And what struck me back then is that it was a very different mindset, particularly as a prosecutor, that you had to come into an accountability court with. It was not a traditional prosecution mindset. It's not really today, but particularly not 20 years ago. The prosecution mindset was that people who commit crimes need to be punished, and that was the purpose and role of the criminal, the prosecuting attorney was to punish. And to have an idea that maybe the justice system, the court system, and particularly the prosecuting attorney should have a role in helping someone who has committed a felony was a very foreign idea. This was clap-in court for a lot of people, and there were a lot of prosecutors at that time that did not buy into it. I was early enough in my career, and I guess, some might say open-minded, some might say just naive enough, that I bought into it as well, and Judge Kreger really led the way. And for multiple years, we took on drug court, as he says, as an addition to his regular caseload. He and I both. Just kind of, that was the normal. We had our regular caseload and the things that went on in his court, and we had drug court that went right along with it. I may have told this story once before at one of these gatherings, but I had been in that situation for a couple of years at one point, and the DA at the time, who was Pat Head, called me into his office, and at that time, Pat liked to move people around. You didn't get too comfortable as an assistant DA in Pat Head's office, because once you did, it was time for a new judge and a new caseload. So he called me in his office one Friday afternoon and said, I'm going to move you over to Judge Ingram's court. And I said, well, okay, I'm here to do what you want me to do, but have you thought about what you're going to do with drug court? And he said, I haven't. And he said, let me think about it. I'll take the weekend. Called me back in on Monday and said, you're not moving. And I never heard another thing about leaving Judge Kreger's court. So 9 years later, I'm still in Judge Kreger's court. And we're still doing drug court. And at that point, that was about the time that Vic Reynolds had been elected as DA. He was elected, I believe, in 2012. So he came into office in January 2013. And I went to him as he was the incoming DA with a pitch for an idea, a very simple, but I thought, personally, I thought revolutionary idea, which was, please let me keep my job. He said yes, and so once we got past that hurdle, then we started talking about the idea of a full-time accountability court prosecutor. And he did allow me at that time to come out of a regular courtroom and become, at the time, I think this circuit was only the second, maybe third DA's office in the state that had a full-time dedicated accountability court prosecutor. And so I worked on drug court, and then not long after that came mental health court under Judge Mary Staley, and then Mary Staley Clark. And then Veterans Court under Judge Green. And we did some of the same things that Judge Kreger was describing in terms of going around the country to other courts and whatnot. That was something about my beginning in this role that irked me a little bit, is that right before I came on, the team went to Pensacola and then went to New Orleans, and I came on and went to Peachtree City. And then the next year went to Peachtree City. So we saw a lot of Peachtree City in those years. But I missed out on New Orleans. But I did, with Veterans Court, get to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma. So if you are getting the idea of the excitement and the depth of the sacrifice that some of us put in, because we rolled into Tulsa, Oklahoma, we'd gotten delayed by weather, and we got there Sunday evening about 7:30, 8 o'clock. Went up to the concierge in the hotel and asked, we've been flight delayed, we've been on planes all day long. What's a good restaurant we can walk to? And that man looked at us like I had two heads spreading out of my shoulders. That the idea that something would be open at 8 o'clock at night on a Sunday evening in Tulsa, Oklahoma was much more foreign than any idea that we were there to discuss legally. But those are the things that we did in the early days of each of these programs. And it was a privilege to me to be able to watch the progression from one of the first drug courts in the state to these other programs coming online, to these programs becoming model courts, to seeing Judge Childs come in and make some structural changes. You've seen the pictures go by on the walls, things like the A-Team that have just taken these programs from a good foundation that I was honored to be a part of to something that's even better, and something that the rest of the state looks to Cobb County and says, they're our model. They're the people that we want to make our programs look like. After a number of years as the prosecutor, I did, as you've heard, move on to become a defense attorney, opened up my own practice, and it wasn't long after that Randy Harris, who was then the circuit defender, called me and asked me if I would take on the role of defense attorney with, first started out as Veterans Court and Mental Health Court, and then ultimately came back to drug court just, not very long afterwards. And I had the same realization then that I'd had when I was a younger prosecutor coming into this role, and that is, it's a different mindset. It's a different focus that you have to have, particularly as an attorney. And I would imagine if we asked the other disciplines involved here, treatment providers, judges, administrators, it's a different mindset than you have to come into than your traditional criminal justice mindset. And I discovered, a bit to my surprise, that it was the same, that shift had to happen even as a defense attorney. Because as a defense attorney, you're more wired toward the idea that you're helping an individual and that you're there to advocate for that person. But in the accountability court context, for me, it was even a step beyond that. I was not advocating simply for an outcome in a criminal case, but I was advocating for the outcome of this person's life. And was, for the first time, well, not in my career, but in a lot of the criminal justice context, actually had the tools to be able to make a difference and to be able to make the sort of progress and the sort of material difference in a person's life that we hope that we're able to do. So I guess that's the biggest takeaway for me after 20 years in accountability courts, is how much different this is than everything else that we do in this building. When I started practicing on my own and trying to get clients and whatnot, one of the things I would say to clients was that courthouse is kind of like a hospital, and my hook for that was that nobody comes to this building because something good has happened to them. Same way you don't go to a hospital because something good has happened. And if that analogy holds true, an accountability court graduation would be like, I guess, having a baby or having really successful plastic surgery or something. It's one of the few things that you can come into this building and do and walk out feeling very good about what you've done. And for me to be able to have said that I spent almost 20 years having something, as John was describing, where you can come to work and you can walk into a criminal courtroom full of people who are charged with felony offenses, and walk out feeling like you've really accomplished something and really feel like there's been some good that has been done in that courtroom that day. it's a rare thing, and it's something that I will always cherish. Thanks.
We're going to switch gears just a little bit. I'm going to ask our program coordinator, Portia Middlebrook, to come up and introduce our next speaker.
Good afternoon, everybody. Well, I really want to again thank all the people that paved the way for us to be here today. 20 years is a long time. It is a long time, and it is to be recognized. I'm grateful for the wisdom, for the knowledge, for the experience, for the team that we have, for all the people that paved the way for us to be here today and to be able to have the program that we have. When I travel to do different trainings across the state, I'm always proud to say, oh, we've been in existence for 20 years. I'm quick to say it. And when participants question what I'm doing, I'm like, we've been doing this for 20 years. We know what we're doing. And I'm grateful for that. So I want you guys to know that we do see it day in and day out where drug courts work. They work. If the participant wants to put in the work, they work, and we are here to support them in their journey. And I am going to talk about someone special today to show you how drug court works. And I also want to recognize that our program's been in existence since 2002, and we have 706 graduates to date. So I'm going to talk about a participant who began the program on February 6th of 2017 and graduated on October 1st of 2018. This person had one sanction, which was community service. This person is Daniel Spinney. Daniel Spinney is currently the Director of Program Services at the Davis Direction Foundation in operation at the Zone since 2019. He is nationally certified as a recovery coach and facilitator, and Daniel serves on the panel for those seeking recovery coach accreditation. He is an active member on the CARES team, offering support services and providing experienced peer support and advocating for others. Daniel is an active member in the Cobb recovery community. He's always, as I see him, encouraging others in their recovery journey. Daniel is a father of two, and to my surprise, a grandfather of two. He also participates in national pool tournaments. Everyone, please welcome Daniel Spinney.
Thank you, Portia. Thank you, everyone. I would like to basically just say thank you to drug court. When I got into drug court, it was what I needed. It gave me the structure and skills and to just do and become successful in what I do today, which is something I very much love. I had many felonies against me when I was facing drug court, and they were telling me that I wasn't a candidate at first and I was going to go to prison. And I had already been to prison, and I knew how I'd come out. So at the time, Stan Graham was running drug court, and I begged him to let me in. And he came up and did an interview with me and told me that he would gladly accept me. And Judge Krieger was my judge, and I had a very long conversation with him my very first day, and he told me not to regret it, and make him regret it, and I didn't. Portia says I had one sanction. I don't think I did. I think I got maybe community service, but I don't think it was a sanction. I don't want to say that. But I went through the program, and one of the biggest things that drug court taught me was perspective, and it has helped me so much in life today. Perspective is how you just look at things, and I didn't look at drug court like a punishment. I looked like it as a tool to help me be a better person, to be the father that I needed to be. At the time, I didn't have custody of my kids. To be the son I needed to be to my parents. They had done nothing but bail me out of jail over and over again. Sleepless nights, stole my mom's car, high-speed chase with Cobb County, anything you can imagine I've done. So it taught me perspective, because that's the way I looked at it. I was like, this isn't punishment. This is something I can learn more skills and life skills to learn how to do, and that's what I did. So I mentored in drug court. I graduated drug court, And it was a great experience. And that's what I tell people that are coming into drug court. When I'm at work at the zone now, and I got people, this morning I have a very new participant, and she came there and she was like, well, I just don't really know what to expect. And I sat down for about 30 minutes and talked to her, and I was just like, hey, it's just on perspective. It's all you have to do. Look at it as positive and the way that you can better yourself instead of looking at it as punishment, because they're giving you a chance instead of going to prison, because so many of us get lost in the system when we get back there, and there's so many wrong things to be able to do in drug court. Drugs and everything is just, in prison, there's so much stuff in there. So as I graduated drug court, it just, my daughter was there, and I can remember her standing up in the courtroom, and as a few of the talkers before have talked about, families are there and everything. My mother was there, and my kids, and my daughter stood up, and I didn't know she was going to say that, and she told Judge Krieger, and Mr. Pursley was there. She told him, thank you for giving me my father back. And like Portia said, now I have a grandson, and I have another grandson that just was born last week. And it's just the greatest thing that I could have imagined, being the person I am. And drug court is a huge huge participant of that. When I was in drug court, right before I graduated, I started volunteering at the zone, which is where we used to go to our meetings. When I was in drug court, we went to court on Monday. We had class Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and drug testing on Sunday. And drug testing on Sunday was at the jail for a breathalyzer, and you had a 2-hour window to be out there. I didn't have a license. They helped me get my license, like Mr. Moore, thank you. Mr. Grady Moore actually assigned a lawyer to go up to Canton, Cherokee County, to defend me, to represent me in getting my license back. And I went up there, and it was the first time I had a legal license in 13 years when I drug court got my license back. So they definitely helped me in so many ways, and it was just, like I said, it was just a miracle. But they, when all that testing was going on, I just always stayed positive. And if they told me to jump, I didn't ask why, I just did it. And then they explained to me later why. And they didn't need to half the time, because after I did it, I saw why. So the accountability was there, the structure was there, the time management was there, perspective was there, everything that I needed to be where I am today, which is a miracle in itself, is what is owed to drug court. I would definitely say drug court did all that. Like I said, I used to volunteer at the zone. After I graduated drug court, I was working in the restaurant industry, and COVID hit and it shut down, and I decided I was going to get into this field. And when I did, I went to Missy and I was like, hey, I'll still volunteer here a couple nights, but I'm going to go over to this sober living and I'm going to run their men's program. And she's like, absolutely not. She's like, you're going to come work for me. She's like, I've watched you since you were in drug court, and I've seen the person you've grown into, and I want you on my team. And she's like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you to this class, and you're going to become a nationally designated recovery coach. You're going to go to this class. You're going to learn to teach people to be recovery coaching. It's my passion now. I love recovery coaching. I love help arm the community in this fight against addiction that we have. And I do that by every quarter teaching classes to teach people how to be recovery coaches, nationally designation. And who would ever imagine, someone who caught their first felony at 17, and I probably can't count on both hands how many felonies I have. I did meth from the age of 17 to 40, and I'm coming on 8 years of clean now. The greatest thing that drug court provided to me is just another chance. And at 40, I didn't think I would have it. I thought that was it. I figured I would be a blue-collar worker in construction, struggling to make ends meet, not have nothing, and not have a purpose in life. And now, just like y'all see with drug court, when you see somebody works, when I'm working at the zone and I see someone come in there and I'm able to help them and guide them in either finding a pathway or get into a sober living at Four Winds or Valor House or anything like that, when I'm able to send them that resources and send them that direction, I get what you guys felt when you looked at me graduating or all the other graduates you see, because it's so rewarding. And like you said, I love my job, Missy. And it's just so fulfilling. I've never thought I'd be doing something that I loved so much and I'm so passionate about. But like I said, drug court, Judge Krieger was such an inspiration. I love, he had many talks. He would always tell a joke. He was funny. It was I remember, like you said, October 2018 is when I graduated, and I remember him shaking my hand, and I remember Mr. Pursley getting me to sign the paperwork, and he's like, here, this is your graduation paperwork, and I signed it. And then he was like, sign this we're squashing the last 3 years of your probation because you did so well in the program. And I was like, wait a minute, I need that accountability. I got to be on probation. He's like, you'll do fine. Just keep on doing what you're doing. And here I am. You know, I just filed for all my rights back because I've been 5 years out of trouble. So I'm going through the process to get all my rights back. I just want to, and it's because of drug court. Like I said, you know, it's all in perspective. So, you know, if anything I have to say is I greatly appreciate everything drug court taught me. The skills and the person I am today has a lot to do with drug court, and I'm thankful very much for it. Thank you very much.
Well, Judge Krager and Mr. Pursley and Mr. Moore, I have absolutely forgotten anything that you said today. Daniel, that was amazing. Thank you for coming today and being part of this celebration and reminding us of the ripple effect that that drug court has. Like you're helping others, and I'm really proud that you were here today. Thank you. And I know there are some of our current participants here today, and I just want you to know I see you. I'm glad that you're here, and I want you to listen to what everybody's saying, and we're doing this for you. That's why we do what we do in this program. In a county committed to excellence, it's no surprise that we were not the only event scheduled for this afternoon. As a result of other commitments, unfortunately, our commissioners were not able to join us today, but we know we have their support, and we're grateful for it. And I'd like to ask Ms. Portia to come up. We have a proclamation from the Board of Commissioners. And that I'm not a commissioner, obviously, but I'd like to present it to Portia Middlebrook, who is the coordinator of our drug treatment court today. And it's in recognition of our 20 years of changing lives. So Portia, this is for you, and I know that you will find a wonderful place for it in our office. Are we ready with the media? Are we ready with the media are we ready to show it? Okay, all right. In 2022, I came back from the National Association for Drug Court Program Conference in Nashville with one of my I've got an idea moments. I have lots of ideas, and the team usually groans, sometimes audibly, when I mention that I have another one. But in any event, Portia Middlebrook, Jennifer Tillery, Ross Cavett, and the Cobb County Communications team made my idea a reality. It was a lot of hard work, but one thing I can tell you about the drug treatment court team, hard work is never a deterrent. So I'm delighted to share with all of you today our very first drug treatment court video, and starring some of our graduates.
Saw me before this program started, you would have never thought I'd be the person I am today. Like, it amazes me some of the things I say now.
How's work going?
Each of our participants has a different life story. You got a lot of other pieces that were a bit of a mess before that are kind of settled down and stable. So now you can work on this. They have a different journey. They have different challenges. And I'm so excited that our team of professionals can work with them and help them come up with an individualized plan to help them have lifelong recovery.
When I seen that, I guess y'all was out to help me and not really hurt me. I was more open to y'all, and y'all was more open to me, and this made me think totally different. And once I started accepting change and started doing right, you know, my life just was starting to get better and better every day, and I like that feeling.
In the beginning, I faked it, sure, but after, you know, phase 2, something clicked that I really just just locked in. I just gave it my all, and I got 1,000 times back.
I tell people all the time, this is drug, capital T treatment court. But if we can't get the treatment working for us, we go back to the court part. It's a court program, yes. Is it hard? Yes. But this disease is hard. And we are here, the drug court team is here to help each of our participants succeed in the program, give them the resources that they need in our program so that they can have lifelong recovery and sobriety.
It was hard. I'm not gonna sit up here and lie to y'all. It was hard, but if I can do it, y'all definitely can do it. So
you have folks who have extensive criminal histories. You have folks who don't have that much involvement with criminal justice, but they all have in common a substance use disorder, and they need help addressing that. And what this program does is it provides them with the right kind of structure, the right kind of long-term structure that allows them to learn coping skills, put them into practice, and get used to putting them into practice on a day-to-day basis so that they can overcome the substance use disorder and be productive members of the community.
Jobs. It's hard to get a job when you have felony charges or if you have prior felony convictions. But we have folks on our team that can help our participants with gain full-time employment and be able to sustain themselves financially in our community.
I work every day. I spend time with my family. I got all my, friends and family back. They trust me now. Making more money than I did before, and my life is wonderful now.
When our participants work the program, it is definitely a help to the community because crime goes down, drug use goes down. It helps them become productive and useful citizens, so the community is safer. Everybody is better off.
I have an apartment now, I have a car paid for, I have communication with my son, my parents are happy for me. It's nothing but up, because I was homeless doing drugs while having a full-time job. Now I have an apartment while having a full-time job, while having a car. Life is great.
If anyone has any doubt, I'm here to tell you that drug courts work. If you really want to put in the work and you really want the help and you really want the services that we offer, drug court will change your life. I see it day in and day out.
Each member of our team is committed to the success of each of our participants. We're not here to trick people up. We're not here to figure out ways to get them to prison. We are here to support them and to help them with lifelong recovery.
I'm definitely gonna have plans now. Like I have goals, like I will be successful. My future looks bright now. Before, my future was dark. I didn't have goals. I was living day to day, waking up, didn't have any goals, but now I feel like 5 to 10 years from now, I'm gonna be successful.
If you forget about it, then you might go on a different path. I don't want to forget about it. I want to continue to go the path I'm going, better and better. It's like the sky's the limit, and I'm trying to go all the way to the top.
I'd like to ask Miss Portia to come up and with some recognitions for us.
We work with a lot of community partners, and today I want to recognize and appreciate a few of those. I want to talk about Sherrod Jones with WorkSource Cobb. Sherrod has worked with our accountability courts for many years, providing employment and education assistance to our participants. Sherrod is always available and always happy to help. Our participants call him, they email him, and they text him, and he's always Johnny on the spot. And he provides them with so many leads, and I'm proud to say that within 30 days, all of our participants are employed. There has never been a time since I've been here that they have never had a job. So, Sherrod, for that, we thank you. And on behalf of the drug court team, we want to ask you to come on up. Come on up, Sherrod. Sherrod, on behalf of the drug court team, we want to tell you that it is with great pleasure that we extend our greatest appreciation for the many years of loyal partnership and service as a full team member for the Cobb County Accountability Drug Court.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Next, I want to talk about Four Winds Recovery. I have Cody Davis here today, and I have Kellen here. Is Ryan or Channing here today? Okay, so I got Cody and Kellen. If you guys aren't familiar with Four Winds Recovery, I'm going to tell you about it. Four Winds Recovery is a recovery residence for those who suffer from substance use disorder and are seeking recovery. Their mission is to assist each individual by providing the tools they need to live a successful life free from the grips of addiction. They provide a safe, clean, and sober environment for those interested in taking their lives and their recovery to the next level. Gentlemen, it was by fate that I met you all years ago, and I am so grateful. I tell you that you two are some of my favorite people because I know that you're genuine. And we want to recognize because we see the work you do in the county. It's not just drug court, it's not just Four Winds. You truly care. And I know that it's by fate that we met, and you guys have been so helpful with our program. You have been an integral part of our success in providing housing for our participants. Not only do you provide housing, but you lead by example in showing them how to get sober and how to stay sober. Four Winds is very active in our community, everyone, and we just want to tell you that we appreciate all that you do. Come on up, gentlemen. Cody and Kellen, on behalf of the Drug Treatment Court, it is with great pleasure that we extend our greatest appreciation to Four Winds Recovery for your commitment and loyal partnership with Cobb County Drug Treatment Court. I'm not sure who we have back there, but we know Hope's back there. Is Peter back there? We got Susie, Diane. Okay, we got Hope, Susie, and Diane. If you guys want to come on up. Is Hope awake? Come on up, Hope. Is she sleeping?
She's stretched. She's a good girl. It's like there's food. Hope sit. Hope sit. Good girl.
Hope. We want to thank you all, and please let the Faith Lutheran Church and the staff know that we appreciate you. On behalf of the Drug Treatment Court team, we want to extend our greatest appreciation to you and the rest of the team for your countless time, your continued service by attending our events, our court sessions, and ensuring that our participants have a more calming experience in the courtroom setting. We thank you for being there in the more serious times of crisis and for being there on lighter days when a sense of comfort and a dog hug is all one needs. You are beyond appreciated, and we cannot thank you enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Every court session, she's always there. Help with me. We have one more recognition to give, and Judge Krager, if you don't mind coming back up, please. You all know why we're giving this to him today, but I just want to read it. It's presented to the Honorable George H. Krager in honor and with deepest appreciation for your vision, your leadership, and decades of service to the Cobb County Drug Treatment Court. Your vision and leadership have and continue to change lives. Thank you, Judge Krager. I know we do want to have some photos afterwards with the team and with the folks that we've recognized. But thank you, everyone, for coming out to support the Drug Treatment Court and celebrate its 20th anniversary. Thank you, Judge Krager, Mr. Pursley, Mr. Moore, Mr. Spenny, for sharing with us today and helping us remember the importance of the work that we do. I want to say a special thank you to Morgan Howard, Superior Court Administration, and all of our volunteers whose time and energy made this celebration extra special. If you're here today, it's because you've made a difference. And on the tables, you'll find little bags with the starfish story and a keychain. Each of you has made a difference in the lives of our participant, and please take this token of our appreciation with you today. But before we leave, I'd like for Portia to come back up to the podium. She's like, this is not on the agenda. I have a special starfish for Portia because she's the leader of our starfish throwing, and it's one in a little blue box. So never stop. Never stop your commitment. That concludes our official program, but please enjoy fellowship and some social time as your schedule allows.